Salut și bine ați venit la o nouă ediție ZF IT Generation. Eu sunt Adrian Săceleanu, jurnalist ZF, iar invitatul ediției de astăzi este Pavlos Loizou, CEO și cofondator al Esquire. El nu vorbește limba română, așa că vom discuta, bineînțeles, în limba engleză. Hello, Pavlos, and welcome to ZF IT Generation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a great pleasure that you're here in Bucharest and we got the chance to meet. We didn't do this after you won last year the InnovX competition. So, first of all, for who didn't catch up the live event then and the articles, tell us a few words about Esquire.
Sure. So, Esquire is a real estate data analytics company. We're trusted by the Cyprus government, insurance companies, systemic banks, and real estate investors. What we do is we collect publicly available data to build a detailed profile for each and every property across the Balkans. Now, what that means is that if you know what each property is, earthquake zones, soil quality, flood risk, earthquake risk, etc., but also data from the cadastral, demographics from the statistics department, etc., it means that you can start building as a company your strategy regarding real estate. So what we do is that we have built 3 products. One has to do with the real estate market. So we monitor on a daily basis all the sales that are coming out from the cadastral. So we map them and we know, these are the apartments that have sold, houses, etc. Then we have asking prices. So we update this information daily, which gives you a lot of data about how many properties are on the market, how long they stay on the market for, the discount between asking price and achieved, etc. Then we have a second data set or a second solution that we provide to insurance companies, all the risks associated with a specific property, plus a reconstruction cost model so that individuals and companies know how much to insure their home for, something that is very important, especially for the Balkans where we're suffering not only from being on an earthquake zone, especially here in Bucharest, but also the impact of climate change that is increasing. And then the third has to do with the lead generation. So how do you leverage this data to identify, for example, the appropriate roof which would be suitable for photovoltaics? So we have developed a solar model which allows us to, with your address, we find your roof from Google Earth actually. We turn it into 3D. We put an artificial sun. And then that allows us to estimate the size of your roof, which part of the roof is pointing in the right direction, how many photovoltaic panels would be put on it, and how much energy those would produce. So it's a lead generator for green loans and for solar companies.
So you are targeting multiple customers, you are not focusing just on one segment.
No, which is a mistake for a startup, but in a way, that's why we started the business, because we spent the last 10 years, my co-founders and I, working in the unfortunate world of distressed real estate and non-performing loans. And what we realized, working for banks in Cyprus, Greece, but also here in Romania, as well as private equity funds, is that there is a lot of data around. For example, the loan application that somebody has submitted has a lot of data about the real estate, but then 80-90% of the same data is needed when you apply to insure your home. Then similarly, if you are selling the home, again, 80-90% of the information is the same. So our idea comes from, instead of wasting so much time duplicating information, we come and say, okay, this is the property. Now that you know what the property is, so that 80-90% of the job is done, what are you going to do about it in terms of leveraging digital channels, automating your decision making, and actually being proactive rather than just marketing stuff left, right, and center. So it goes back to our idea. We build the profile of the property, and then we help the clients leverage that information in whatever way they want to. Usually, but to help them increase sales. That's our key thing here.
Now that I hear you, everything, and when I heard you at the event, everything looks very logic. But how did you come up with this idea, and what was the process of defining this product?
Sure. So actually, a lot of this started here in Romania back in 2007. Yes, it was a bit strange. So I was working in London. I finished university in 2004. Started working in London as a financial analyst, building financial models for AXA, the insurance company. I was at CBRE and then at AXA. And then one very cold and rainy morning, my father called me and said, with a real estate consultant himself, he said, I've decided to open a business in Bucharest. How about you go and get involved? So I quit my job, came here in Bucharest.
Wait a minute. Why would anyone leave London for Bucharest?
Look, London is boring. Not London is boring. Everything that is developed, in my view, is boring. The game is played already. So you are dealing with making money or learning on the fringe. So it's good to be in London, New York, wherever people want to go and learn, right? Because you have a lot of deep expertise in different parts. But if you actually want to do things, to change things, you need to go where things are still happening. So if you're an engineer and you are dealing with roads, you don't want to be in the UK where they are building one road every 20 years. You want to be, I don't know, in Africa, in the Middle East, where things are happening now. So yes, I had a very nice job and living in London. I was in the UK for 8 years, but frankly, it was boring because I was being paid very good money at the time to build things in Excel, and I'm like, okay, where are the buildings? You know, I love real estate. This is where I was born.
And how was Bucharest? Was it thrilling, engaging? How did you find Romania?
Bucharest in 2007 was, first of all, I quit my job and came here without even knowing. I didn't know anything about the country, so you know, not the wisest way to make a decision. It was thrilling. I mean, it was at the time where it was mainly the Greeks that had entered the market. You had Nokia, was still around at the time.
Yes.
Nokia opening the factories, the new investments were taking place. All the highways were being planned to be built. Of course, nothing was being built. There was chaos in Bibera with the traffic, very nice parties at Bamboo. So, you know, I got to live a very nice 2 years being here. And what I saw in Romania at the time, which I was impressed by, was actually, and these are remnants from the communist era, there is a lot of organized, everything is organized. It's bureaucratic, yes, and perhaps the system was not working in the best possible way, but there was a process, the data was there, people knew what they had to do. Maybe they didn't want to do it, but you know, everything was there in place. Plus, you could see the potential of the country, which is still here now. You know, it's a big country, both in terms of size and in terms of population. The level of urbanization of people living from the villages and the smaller cities coming to Bucharest was happening then, is still happening now with the city growing. So clearly, as the population is growing in a specific area, you have a huge impact on the real estate, on retail, etc. So, you know, it's a country that was in flux. And let's say that's where I wanted to be, because you make money and you learn stuff where there is change.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a great time. But at the time, you know, when I came here, there was very little information about the real estate market. There were reports coming out from the big consulting firms, people reading things on the various portals, but that was really it. There wasn't much more. So I did the easiest thing. I said, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the city. I'm going to you have the 6 sectors. So I said, okay, I took a taxi at, I think we started at like 4 in the morning from Balotest.
Okay.
And I started driving to each part of the city to see with my own eyes, okay, these asking prices and these things that I am reading, how are they? To get a feeling of the area. Because this is the thing with real estate. You really need to know in detail what you are doing. The taxi driver refused then to take me to Ferendar. I don't know if Ferendar is how it is now, but he said, I'm going around it, I'm not going through it. I said, okay. But yeah, so, I mean, in a way, that was the first touch point with data in Romania, collecting it firsthand, understanding where the areas are, so that in time, I could advise also other people who were coming to Romania to invest, how the city was changing, what was growing, and stuff like that.
Okay, so then it was the seed of this idea of this.
That was the seed, and then obviously 2008, 2009 rather, we had the crash here in Romania. I moved back to Cyprus, working as a real estate consultant there. 2011, the crisis arrived in Cyprus before the collapse of our banking system in 2013. And at the time, I started again collecting data on the real estate market in Cyprus. Same idea, right? I always wanted to know what is happening rather than what people are saying. From that, I entered into managing distressed real estate and non-performing loans because banks, private equity funds, etc., they need data to make that decisions. And in that world, let's say, where suddenly you are faced with a lot of properties. So my previous job before Esquire, I was head of real estate for an investment made by Apollo, the American private equity fund in Cyprus. So there, I was in charge for 3 billion in real estate, 9,000 properties. So the issue that you have there, when you have to deal with so many properties at the same time, you need a process. So everything needs to be very structured and organized, but also you need data to facilitate your decisions. You need to be able to make decisions, not every day, almost every hour we had to make a decision about a property. Move the tenant out, move them in, sell the property, bring the price lower, whatever. So it was at that point that we had so much data coming from different parts, either from the legal department or from the valuations or from the agency, that we turned around and said, okay, let's put everything together in one place. And let's approach real estate like a train. So you have the train at the front, and you have different wagons, different data sets that follow the same train. So as we look at the property and the train is coming, we start adding a different piece of data. So by the time it's on the market, we have collected all the data for the same property, but following a very structured process. This is what we had built. In 2019, when we had COVID and the lockdowns and everything, I said, okay, I had enough dealing with distressed. It was 9 years. So my colleagues and I left, and we said, okay, let's do the same now. Let's again gather data, but let's do it comprehensive, like we had done it for the private equity fund. And that is what started the idea. But we said, we're not going to do per property. We'll do the whole country, and then we'll do the whole of the Balkans. Because we are going to go big. That was sort of the plan.
How did you come up with the idea to apply for the InnovX-BCR program last year? How did you hear about it, and why did you decide to join?
Sure. So about a year and a half in, so we started the company in September 2020. 1.5 years in, we raised money from private equity investors. And it was at that point that Eurobank in Greece reached out to us and said, look, we saw that you started this company, you are scaling. How about you join our incubator, which is called Egg. So we joined Egg, and that's how we entered the Greek market. They were very helpful for us. They opened a lot of doors. And in one of the events that took place, the InnovX-BCR incubator teamed up with Eurobank's Egg. So we were there. Met the guys here. It was great. We started chatting. I told them about the plans to enter Romania, and they said, "Okay, we have an opening in 6 months. Why don't you apply through that?" Frankly, it's the best program we have ever been. We learned a lot, like a lot. I think we learned more about us than we had done for the past 2.5 years. And it's a great way for us to both learn about what it is to build a more proper startup, if I can say, with more robust, but also a great way to enter the market. So, we're feeling quite good about being part of this process.
And I guess the jury enjoyed very much your project because you won last year the competition. Everyone was impressed with your pitch and with your projects.
Yes, it went down much better than expected. I must say, when I speak about the real estate data, most VCs tend to look at me and say, why?
Because it's not AI, it's not SaaS, it's not PaaS, it's not...
It's not sexy, right? We are dealing with non-sexy things. But
it depends. I might say, I think some people might find it sexy because you solve some problems.
Exactly. What we come and say is that our job is not to make something that is flashy. Our job is to solve problems. So my job is, there are 8.5 million houses in Romania. My job is to help each and every person in Romania to know how to insure their home. That is my job. My job is not to be flashy. Now, it's like having a house and dealing with the pipes of water.
It's
right?
not sexy.
It's not sexy. Nobody cares about what pipe you put in, not what pipe you didn't put.
Until they...
Exactly. Until they need the water, and suddenly, when you go like this and there is no water there, you realize that you have a problem. And this is what we want to be. We build the infrastructure for people who sell solar to be able to sell it, people to be able to sell it online, people who sell insurance to sell it online. If you want to do digital mortgages, online mortgages, we can buy you the home, give you the risk profile, how liquid it is, and do it online. This is our job. We're sitting at the back, building the infrastructure, building the pipes for you to be able to do your job. That's why I think for VCs, they find it, as we said, not so cool, not so sexy, the 10 times multiple, whatever. That's why the money we have raised, because we've raised pre-seed, seed, and a bridge round. So we raised about 2 million until now from various investors. It has come from either family offices type who have a longer term horizon, or from people who are, let's say, they have knowledge of the sector. So in October, right when the scale-up competition was wrapping up, we had an investment from the co-founder of Google Maps, whom we met. We pitched a couple of times. We actually was very excited because it was real estate and maps and data, so very much his thing. So Lars is now both an investor and he's currently also acting as a mentor now to our technology team. So these are the type of people usually we attract on the investment side.
What's the status of the project at this point? How much, or maybe you could discuss a little bit about last year. How did you end the year? How was the project?
Sure. So we've been trading for 3 years. What income generating from year one, because we use the data first as advisory until we build the technology. Last year we generated revenue of 425,000 euro. This year we started, so this is January, we've done, so we have ARR for the year signed until now 140,000 euro. And we signed another 60,000 in one-off projects during January. So already in 1 month we did half of what we did last year.
How are you charging? What's your business model? How are you making revenues?
Sure. So we have data as a service, where usually we give an annual license fee with API. And then we have software as a service that is a monthly fee. So in both cases, subscription model. It's a subscription model. And then there is a small amount that comes through as advisory for customizations or data cleansing, structuring the data in the beginning, for us to go from there. Just to give you an example, we have a project now in Cyprus. It's a pilot for the biggest insurance company. We are cleaning their address data because everybody writes the address however way they want to. So we need to clean the data first. This is like step one. Then for each property, we give them the 3 basic risks, flood, fire, earthquake, on a scale 1 to 5. And then we're giving them the cost of reconstruction for them to know if the specific property is under or over insured. So in such a case, we would come and say there's a setup cost to clean the data, configure the API to their systems, and then everything should work on their own. Now, we also have a GIS, a map solution, so there it would also fall into a subscription type of arrangement.
And your biggest customers so far?
Biggest client right now is an insurance company, Hellas Direct. We're pleased because we have been working with them in Cyprus, Greece, and now they have entered the Romanian market last year. So we're looking to partner with them here. We have Lambda developers in Greece, one of the biggest developers who are doing the Hellinikon project, which is a big project there. Hellenic Bank in Cyprus, which is a systemic bank, where we developed for them or with them an automated valuation model, which they apply on all of their residential properties. So let's say these are our key clients.
And how about access to data? Because as you said, in Romania, maybe it's everything organized, we have the data, but maybe it's not easily accessible. So I'm curious, how can you grab and collect and have access to and process all this data to integrate it?
Sure. Very good question. So there are two European Union directives. One is called Open Data, which I think a lot of people probably on this channel, they know about, which forces governments to open their databases to third parties. Then there is another directive called Inspire that standardizes the way that this data comes out from the land registry. So if we put the two together, we come and say, okay, step one, we know the data is either there, or if it's not there, it's coming. Right? So this gives us this comfort that we can scale. The second thing is that we come and say, okay, if we bring all of this data together and make them talk to one another, that's the value. And I say make them talk because the cadastral is thinking in parcels and tarlas, the statistics department is thinking in postal codes and sectors and communities, the geology department thinks in strata and whatever. So everybody's talking about the same thing, but in a different way. So what we do is that we go and access each of them, and I will come to Romania in particular. We access them and we bring them together like layers, effectively sitting one on top of the other. And this is how we get them to talk, basically. So you give us your address, and that allows us to turn the address into geo-coordinates, and you get all the data sitting underneath. Now, in Romania, the cadastral office works great, where it's digital, which the main cities are. Bucharest, Cluj, Timișoara, all of these are digital. You have excellent data on environmental, earthquakes, a lot of data on earthquakes, a lot of data on soil quality, floods, etc. So the environmental side we are fine with. With the solar model, we cover right now, as we speak, 30% of the population. So all the major cities, we can start tomorrow morning and give you for every roof the solar energy potential. Building upgrade, how to upgrade your house to improve energy performance, all of that is ready. So the environmental stuff and the lead generation for green loans is ready. Now, where the market is weak, and that's, I think, is a matter of policy here from the Ministry of Finance, probably, and the Ministry of Interior, has to do with transaction data, right? Because the fact that the notaries know what has sold but the public doesn't, it's wrong, right? Because
is it different on other markets?
In Cyprus, valuers, if you are a registered valuer, you access every day everything that has sold. So you get, on this parcel, this apartment sold for this amount of money. You don't know to whom, but you know every day what has sold on the market. In Greece, they do it slightly differently. They come and say, I will not tell you the exact apartment, but I will tell you in this postal code all the details of the apartment that has sold. So in Balotesti, land, extra villa, 10,000 square meter, no road, blah, 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 sold for this amount of money.
Okay, and in Romania?
Nothing.
Okay.
Right, so the problem that you have, and this is the problem we had again, back in 2008, 2009, is that the asking prices with the achieved, there is a gap. Right? Now, forget about the whole discussion, money under the table, which we will not go there.
I was going to ask about this.
Yeah, okay. That's the second problem. The first problem is that somebody wants 100, they sell for 80, actual sell for 80, but I have no way of knowing that it's 80. And this is the problem. So when the market turns, the asking prices stay for 6 months, 9 months at the 100, but the transaction volume goes down and the prices go down. So all the valuations lag the turn, the same when it goes up. So you have this dual problem, let's say, that if you don't have a transparent market, which has an impact then on financing by the banks, because they don't know exactly how much something has sold. So because they don't know, the loan-to-value ratio is lower, right? So they're willing to lend you 60%. If they knew that the actual transactions, maybe they would go 80%, for example. Or they're charging you 5% interest instead of 4 or 3. So the lack of transparency in the market has an impact on the financial institutions and by extent on individual consumers. Now, having transparent transaction data is part of the requirements of the European Union. They don't tell you exactly how to do it, but I'm hoping that the Romanian government will go towards the transparency side of things rather than trying to go with the bare minimum.
We have to see about that.
Yes.
So as we are approaching the end of our discussion, share with us how is our things going on expanding here on the Romanian market, and what are you planning to do this year?
Yeah. So first of all, everything we are doing has to do with on the back of the InnovX-BCR program. Right? What the guys here have done, when I say the guys, I mean both the InnovX team, but also BCR. And I must say I'm very impressed by the willingness of people to help in the wider InnovX community and on the BCR side. So what we gained by knowing or meeting all these people, including yourselves here, is that we have an office, which is great. So one of the things that came out of this competition that we have a physical space to work out of. This is sort of step one. We've met a lot of people, and we're now in a series of meetings with BCR where we're discussing a proof of concept of how they can use our data on lead generation for green loans, but also on ESG or the environmental things. So this is sort of step one. And at the same time, we're in discussion with an energy company about the same. So we're in the process of, let's say, we found an office. We met some people. Clearly, they need to get to know us more to see that we can actually deliver, like we have done in the other countries that we are in, we can deliver in Romania as well. Then the plan is to, hopefully in the second half of the year, not only establish an office, I don't mean make a company, that's the easy part, but actually start hiring people and giving back to the country, which has trusted us to deliver what we can. So this is the plan. Proof of concept in the first 6 months of the year, and then from that on, start hiring, deliver, obviously. Delivering is number one key here. And then in the second half of the year, start hiring and growing the office. Anyway, I need to be in the summer here because my mother-in-law, she's from Malt.
Okay, so you have a Romanian wife?
Yes.
Oh, that explains.
Yeah, you see.
Okay.
I am a migrant of love. So yes, my mother-in-law expects to see her daughter and grandchildren here in the summer, so I need to be here as well.
And I think you are going to enjoy Romanian summer better than Romanian winter.
Yes.
And the final question, share with us what's your target? Well, where do we want to see Esquire, let's say, in 5 years?
Yeah. Where we want to be is, let's say, 3 things. Number one, to have mapped each and every property across the Balkans. So this is 80 million people, all their houses mapped, everything is clean and accessible to all the companies. This is sort of step one. Step two is to have given access to this data to individuals, right? Not only because you have the data, that data needs to be accessible to everyone, not to the big companies. Every person needs to know about their home, which is why all the software as a service that we build is optimized for your mobile so that you can access it from everywhere, from anywhere. Obviously, we are piloting things in Cyprus and moving from there on. And the third has to do with giving people a different way of how to interpret and use the data by building, I know it's very trendy, but an AI machine learning model that will allow people to interact with the data in a different way. Because what we have seen is when it comes to maps, not many people feel comfortable looking at things on maps. Graphs and pie charts, okay, things get better. Tables are probably the best. But effectively, what you are trying to ask, if you are an individual or a company, the thing you have in your hand is, my home is here. I am a father, of 2 children who are aged 7 and 9, and I would like to move from here to go nearer to my mother-in-law. Give me some options of houses for me to buy, provide the financing options as well, and by the way, find also what energy potential these houses would have. We want to build that so that everyone can have access to these capabilities on your phone, so that you interact and interface with real estate in a new way rather than you do right now.
It sounds great, and I wish you the best of luck to deliver that.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for today's discussion, and I can bet we are going to meet again and discuss your progress here in Romania and on the whole Balkans.
I hope so. Thank you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Vă mulțumim și dumneavoastră pentru că ne-ați urmărit. Aceasta a fost ediția de astăzi a FIT Generation. La revedere!